Hi, it's Kim. I just wanted to say hello to everyone. Hopefully, the week ahead will be awesome. As you can see, um, I've been to the Renaissance Festival, got my face paint, and I went yesterday and today, and I've had a fabulous time. It was a really great break. Some of you know, and some of you don't, that a lot of like negative things have been occurring. It hasn't quite been a series of unfortunate events. A lot of things happen, big events. So Monday, my fourth grandmother did die. I should say her name. Her name was Diane Sills, and I probably should not say more than that, except that she will be missed. Um, and things were peaceful for her at the end, but all the stuff that transpired before it, like the last 2 weeks, I've been with hospice almost every day. And it's hospice care, not hospice themselves. And it's at a facility. All right. So all those like little like layers on top of layers. And it really means it was her friends and I that kept her alive and comfortable and talking for a little bit until she couldn't. There you have it. Sometimes found family, um, we come in at the right time. I don't know if we're better. I don't know if we're more important. Don't know any of that. That is not up to me. But I do know that I was there at the right time, and the grocery girl was with her at the end. That's all I can say. I have to say, I'm a little bit of a shock, or at least people tell me I am. I think I'm fine, but then I find myself repeating the same stories, and I know I'm not fine, right? Yeah. So I want a positive note. Now, I've already looked at the cards, and I know that people are going to be like, those aren't positive cards, Kim. But I think they are. They have a narrative, and some of it is behind us. And there will be challenges before us, but we'll just get into it. Okay. So I'm using Twilight Realm, A Tarot of Fairy by Beth Wilder. I believe it was last week I drew one card from this, and it was the Fool. Hear my phone falling. All right. And this, I have to admit, the artwork is amazing. I don't always agree like 100% with what is being said. The art is, like it's all opinion, right? Like I'm opinion. So, I mean, it's all up to us. So, you can see like there's a little booklet and I have you know, I have a narrative. So if I can open up the Five of Wands, which I didn't, but it would be nice if I did. My friends, that I went with today, I decided that I need like one of those. I guess there's a shelf that you attach to your steering wheel, and I'm like, yes. And they're like, you're going to be called Tarot to Go. I like that because I mean it goes with Tarot Nouveau just as well. Now I'm starting with this Five of Wands. It's not all right. Everyone's like, it's not a positive card. Well, no, completely. Not awfully not. All right, the Five of Wands. It's depicted by Rubazol. You can see that. Okay. And they are guarding their mountain pass with slender spiked walking staffs. Do I see that? We're sort of in that. There they are. I was gonna say, like, that's not what I saw. All right. And they're male dwarf fairies of Eastern European origin who haunt seldom used roads in order to cause trouble for travelers. Sometimes they've been known to help the lost, especially children, but they derive far more pleasure from playing tricks on those who venture across their paths. It says that in this reading, the obstacles are blocking one's path. Strife is present, and you may have to fight for what you perceive to be right. Now, it does say a lawsuit may be, possible at this time. So, putting that out there, I don't think so, but I always like say what, You must be courageous and do your utmost to prove yourself to others, lest they take advantage of you. Okay, so what did we get out of that? I got courage. And like they have like all these like negative words, the meanings. And I disagree. Just from their little blurb, yeah, okay, there's obstacles and conflict. Okay, like that's called life. So we're going to face obstacles and conflict, and it's going to be different for each of us. And it might be this week, which I should say is September 17th, 2023, or this can be universal. So if you find it, there you go. You might be living some obstacles, and they might have been right with you. Some of us never leave our obstacles. They just, you know, are part of us. I have different abilities and they're part of me, right? So it's not like my obstacles just go away. So I want to be very, very clear that even though this card is all like uh they're trying to make it really negative, sometimes these obstacles are not just like obstacles in our path for what I call no reason. Like okay, somebody like spiked your tire with it like twice at least so far, and gave you a flat. So far, that's happened to me in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, okay, I see that it sucks, but like, how big of an obstacle was it really? Would have been a lot bigger if I didn't have like insurance with it, or that sort of stuff. Like, so we have to like take a grain of salt with whatever we say the word obstacles, be very clear what maybe the obstacle is. If there is a conflict, is it within ourselves? Is it within, our family? We will know the answer, like whatever this reading is about to you, you already have it and you're feeling like, oh, here it comes. All right. So that's why I wanted to start with the Five of Wands. Just so you know, there's conflict. And it's not horrible or terrible or anything that's about to come. It's not. It's not. Um, direness is not in my forte. And if I really felt like I was saying, doing you the service, I would tell you. I don't see it. Now the first card that I actually drew, I have to find it. Excuse me. I'm looking for her because she is beautiful. Okay. It's the Queen of Rings. Try to get that up there. Okay. So that would be like the Queen of Coins or Pentacles. So it says the meaning, and this I agree with because it's first draw. I feel like the meaning is mostly positive. Intelligence, generosity, hospitality, and stability. And yes, the whole thing was clarified with that there would be obstacles. The Queen of Rings loves company and delights in indulging her guests any way she can. Her home is immaculate yet comfortable. She derives great joy from having people visit. Queen never met a stranger, and everyone is welcome in her presence. I think that a lot of that is us. Now we do have to like put in just a small thing. There can be too much generosity. There can be too much people pleasing. I don't think that that is this reading because I feel like it is like the other cards sort of like go not against it, but like go against that reading. Okay. So they're saying, I want to really, really that she's a very charitable person, always giving herself not only monetarily, but physically and spiritually as well. Queen realizes how blessed she is with prosperity, and she does not hesitate to share her abundance of good fortune. I'm going to bring it back up so you can see it. Okay. So I think this is already us. I don't think that we necessarily have to go further. I don't think that we have to go, oh, we have to give more. I think we give enough. I think we give plenty. I think we're fine. Maybe too much, but not quite, into that complete and utter, all giving. Okay. And if you find yourself that we're giving ourselves our all, which I did this Monday, then we have to, at least if we don't stop the behavior, we have to sort of like replenish. And quick tip, great way of replenishing. I just so you know, I am a Reiki master twice and a Reiki master teacher once. So, um, one thing is to stand barefoot in grass or something on the ground, really. But you can imagine it anywhere. And then put your roots down. Now you have your feet, you feel like those tendrils, and then draw and soak up the earth energy. At the same time, draw down the sun, like the energy of the sun. Bring it down through your crown all the way down into you. And the idea is both of them sort of meet right around the heart chakra. It's like between the heart chakra and, maybe a little bit below. Everyone has chakra centers that are different on their location just by a bit. So I'm like, it's like, like I don't want to like be like, it is right at your, right at your chest. And I find that mine is actually right like in the sternum sort of, you know? And that is like my heart center. It's actually not where it's a little bit below than sometimes is depicted. And so show your zones and, try to breathe at the same time. Um, that's my little tip of replenishing. And that is just like to replenish like quickly. That's not like I've just, gone through trauma, right? But if you need it in a pinch, you've had like a few sharp words somewhere and you've just given it, you're just like, I have to give up. That's a quick way of regrounding yourself, and you can do it with shoes. I mean, like all this is pretty much just drawing energy from below and energy from above, and having a deep breath and feeling confident and powerful. Um, it is not easy, but it does help. You'll find it. Just having that is just enough to be like, oh, trust me. It's getting a little darker there, as you can tell, and a little rainier too, 'cause it's not supposed to be sunset yet. Um, Even though we're getting towards it's a fall equinox, where I am, or Maven, but of course it can be spring other places. I'm still trying to keep that poor little light out there. Okay, now I'm gonna do two cards at once. I think it is just necessary. Now, the first one we got was the tower. Okay. And everyone is always scared of the tower. The tower does not necessarily mean death. It means transition. It means a change. Plans topple. Things happen. Something changes and it can change drastically and quickly. Okay. The other we got right after, of course, was the devil. And they did not come in sequential order, so like we're meant to take it. Now, especially with this artist said they do not believe in the actual devil, that it is more of a self-made, human-made problem. I heartily agree. You see, that person is being struck by their own demons. Okay? We haven't done it to ourselves necessarily. We are experiencing it ourselves. And we are re-traumatizing ourselves, or our brains are going over and over and over and over and over again, or okay, so their version of what they consider the devil to be, excuse me, I have to cough. Goodness, is that it indicates material concerns and taking precedence over spiritual ones. Fear and ignorance may prevent you from seeing the truth behind an issue. Pride and selfishness need to be released so that you can look at a situation from a more unbiased position and make sure that you're not actually part of the problem. Do not be so quick to lay blame on others. Okay, now, before we go further, let's take a hot step back and remember our cards have been clarified. Okay. So I don't think that um there is like this malicious sort of pride and selfishness necessarily, so much as self-doubt. And they say fear and ignorance. And yes, it might be present, but I think in us it's much more of a self-driven thing in terms of we internalize. Okay. So it might be more like we feel these things because of others, or we think we are these things instead of because of others. Now, the person that is there that's being depicted has his head against two huge boulders that block his path. He is caught quite literally between a rock and a hard place as lightning bolts crash behind him. And I have to say that definitely sounds like a change, right? Like that tower that I just mentioned to you. It doesn't have to be this negative thing or a thing that is so prideful or so selfish. Now we had, you know, the Queen of Rings. So no, we already starting off with that energy. The energy hasn't changed. I think it's like an internalization. So that tower, I also think, is probably much more of an internal one. Okay, so I think that, and by internal, I mean like we feel it. We have like an emotional toppling. Someone says something that either they didn't mean or they perhaps should not have actually said aloud, right? There's those things that you should keep in your head and just stay there. And like, yes, you could call it dishonesty, but or yes, you could say it's people skills. Okay. And things happen, people say things. You're like, man, but like that inner self just tumbles. And if we're already dealing with like an energy depletion or with some type of, you know, lowering of that sort of sense of self or being tired, being burnt out, whatever, then it's going to make it that much worse. So I really think that the tower coming down and the devil is just our minds, our emotions, making it more difficult for us. So I do believe that it is much more of an emotional journey this week than necessarily, like, oh, everything is gone, completely and totally wrong and blah, 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 blah. Well, if that is your reading and you take it as that, okay. And if you ever decide that you don't want to take a reading, just say I don't want to take a reading. I don't take this card. I don't take this reading. It's actually perfectly acceptable. And it tends to change everything that happens after because you realize, I don't want that damn card. I know. Oh, and this is the Four of Swords. And this one, I have to admit, is a little bit more personal because it's displaying the will-o-wisps. And the will-o-wisps are believed to haunt lonely places, and a myriad of hypotheses exist as what may be the source of their mysterious fairy lights, which hover so near and around there. Okay. And with the will-o-wisps, I used to be part of a community that this was like my main symbol, you know? So it was like the persona I was supposed to be was a will-o-wisp. So it struck me and I was like, oh, cool. Okay. So if you're from that community and you know. Okay. So it says it indicates a rest after a period of strife. And the seclusion evident in this card expresses a sense of exile or banishment. Okay. Respite is available now, but it carries with it feeling of loneliness. Do not allow your imagination to wander. Okay. So don't go there. Don't go into the dark woods, right? Okay. And there are lots of sparks of light. But just like I would say like let that light illuminate, even though they're small, they're also like ethereal and magical in some senses. Yes. Like it's beautiful. Little fairies, right? In some fun ways. It's sort of they're always, like there's always some light or some positive reading and anything that happens. It's probably true. And that does not mean that we can't feel sad or angry or have any of these strong emotions. We're trying to move forward. Sometimes people do need to look on the bright side if you or I don't like saying that. I don't like making it feel trite. Everyone has everyone's feelings and you're allowed to feel whatever you need or want to feel. At the same time, if you are having a problem and you are so feeling like you're exiled and you are so lonely, then it's time to talk about it. And we might have to have a larger conversation, just everyone, our whole humanity. I have a pen pal group because of this, the sense of, I mean, one of my friends, when he was most like putting a dagger in me, because he was responding to something, I mean, said that I was desperately lonely and that I wanted them to fill the gap and they couldn't do it. Now we are still friends. I tried to augment and it didn't quite augment. So some of it is on them as well. That the behavior that they were claiming me, it's a bit mutual and it's also not quite really what they wanted. They want something else but said something, different. There's some fear, and we have those. So reaching out, of course, has all that fear. But I have to say, I have to be like, yes, I'm desperately lonely. And months later, after I had denied it terribly, I am desperately lonely. That's why I went to the Renaissance Festival today with my friends. I told them I'm desperately lonely. And they said, you're desperately lonely too, or at least one did. And that was having the conversation with me. And well, just like acknowledging that made me feel better, like not alone in this. Oh, I thought you had it all together. You don't have everything together? Hmm, okay. The trick is most of us don't have everything together. We definitely don't have everything together. I certainly don't. I have this Five of Swords. And I have to admit that I love this card. I mean, it's like definitely like a bog witch sort of look, but I love it. And those swords keep reminding me of gravestones. I don't know. I have Buffy on the brain right now. But so their meanings are arguments, defeat, misery, unfair attack, gain, a no-win situation, and destruction. And I'm like, hmm, yes. Well, yes, Five of Swords has never been upright, has never been like totally like happy, happy. Okay. And this one is Jenny Greenteeth. Um, it's a favorite threat used by mothers to keep their children from wandering too near to the banks of water sources, lest they be dragged down into her watery, slime-ridden domain. So she's a water fairy, right? That we were just depicted. Okay. But water tends to be with emotions. You sort of like feel like since I'm a Pisces, it's always about emotion. Okay. So this I feel is about emotion. Like this is I still feel it's like part internal struggle. And I don't think it actually means that we have defeat. I think that there might be that obstruction, right? Like in a personal note, I tried to get all this stuff for WVU, right? From the English department. They're still losing 8 slots. I feel like I've failed. I feel like there's destruction. I helped, keep the MFA program. I helped, blah, blah, blah. Sure. Okay. So, and then now I'm still like thinking about it, right? How can I change this? How can I change not just WVU, but all the perception of that sort of thing? So, I mean, like, it's internal, it's rotating, it keeps going, it keeps going. You know what? We tend to come up with a solution. We do. Just like us being us, us being human. Okay? Making sure I hit all my cards. I did. So I don't think that any of these are the negative that we think they are, or that might be read otherwise. I just don't. There you have it. I don't. And it's not just me saying I don't accept, okay? Which, like I said, we have the power to do. And we do. Well, like, if I head that way, all right. So we do have that power, okay? We can say, I do not accept. But we can say, I do not accept this reading and just go on our merry way. Or we can say, I do not accept this destiny. And that means of others too. I don't accept that WV will not get better. I don't accept now. Have I been defeated? Perhaps right now. But forever? No. Is there a bigger sort of thing going on, perhaps, that we have to fight? Maybe it's not just about me versus one university. Maybe it's about me versus the country. Maybe it's about me versus, now think about this. This is just a very small aspect of life. What about you? If you are having a conflict and if you are feeling this reading and if you are feeling some of this negativity within ourselves and internalizing it in the world, how can you not internalize the world? It's so difficult. It is not an accusation, okay? But if we are internalizing, we have to take a moment, and like I said, to ground ourselves, and then we have to go forward. And seeing that this is so near Maven, I have to say, since we're at an equinox, right, coming up, and we have to balance, you know? So balance darkness, you balance lightness, you balance time, you balance, and it doesn't have to be meaningless, and it doesn't have to be just rote. It doesn't have to be, but like maybe one day you read for 30 minutes and that makes you feel better because you're getting closer to your goal with that. But that doesn't, and you don't have time for this other thing. You have 10 minutes to fit this other thing in, but you still keep going because that next day you get what you missed the day before and still things going. And yes, it is juggling. And yes, it can be tiring. And yes, sometimes we are alone. The good news is we're alone together, right? If we all feel a pervasive sense of self doubt, if we all feel a sense of loneliness, or if we feel alone in a group, like especially if it's a physical group of people and you just feel like I'm alone here. I know no one. Or worse, I know everyone and I don't fit in. I don't belong. My biggest one right now is I don't have a home. Everything's changing. So let's think about that. If we all are feeling this, then we just have to hold hands, okay? Reach out, grab each other, and say, hold on. Because, everything is changing. That tower moment is coming, and it doesn't have to be bad. It just means change, and change is hard. All right? So, grip each other. Reach out. Let me know if you need anything. Have a wonderful week. Take care. And please, don't think of internalizing as, like an awful thing. Everyone does it. So I certainly do. And it just means that we have to look externally and maybe like have someone help shift us, a little bit, have our perspective shift. And like I know if I can't do it personally, I'll have somebody help me, and that's okay. All right. Well, with that, have a wonderful week. Take care.